Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it is 7 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Smithville Village Council, roll call.
Allen,
Here.
Haas,
Here.
Heicher,
Here.
William, Mullins, Reed,
Here.
Thorne.
Here.
Okay, you should have received a copy of the prior minutes from the meeting in May. If you've had the opportunity to review those, I would entertain a motion in a second to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes from 2 weeks ago.
Second, Thorne.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Heicher,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne.
Yes.
Okay, appears that we have no visitors. So at this point, I will turn the meeting over to Chief Barnett. I think she has her monthly report as well as a couple items of recommendation to council. I'll turn over to you, Chief Barnett.
Okay. I also have Sergeant Wirtz with me here today. First, I was going to start with the two motions. Is that all right?
That's fine.
Okay. So the first one being to remove Darian Short from probationary status as during his full-time transition from part-time to full-time. That being effective June 7th. As well as Officer Yarnell, effective June 7th.
Again, they will be at the end of their probationary period as of that date. So we would entertain a motion and second approving those appointments
Do
to
we
regular
need-
full-time.
One motion a piece or one motion for both?
Why don't we do one each? If we could, we'll start with Dan Yarnell.
Motion to move Officer Yarnell from probationary status to non-probationary status effective June 7th.
Second, Haas.
Okay, we have motion and second to remove Officer Dan Yarnell to regular full-time status. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Haas,
Yes.
Heicher,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Then I would entertain a motion also removing Officer Short and placing him on regular full-time status as well, effective June 7th.
Okay.
Wait just a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So motion.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second to take Officer Darian Short to regular full-time status. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Okay, you ready for me? My
Yes. I'm ready
internet
for you, Beverly.
froze.
That's all right.
Okay, sorry
Yes,
about that.
Beverly, we're ready for roll call.
Heicher,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Haas.
Yes.
Okay, I'll turn this back over to Chief Barnett for our monthly report.
Okay. The next thing, to keep you guys informed as of things that are going on in the department. We do have an applicant that is in the process, the hiring process, for a part-time position. I will meet with him in 2 weeks. The next thing being, we recently submitted a grant that will cover is a reimbursement grant in regard to the canine program. And this past Saturday, Officer Short had attended a Celebrate Wayne County at the Worcester Christian School, where he was there for a couple hours. He handed out keychains and pencils, and on behalf of the representation of the police department, just a little PR for the village of Smithville and the PD. And lastly, at the end of this month, I will graduate from the Police Executive Leadership College. That will hopefully take place on July 2nd. So, and let me turn this over to Sergeant Wertz for the monthly activities for May.
So a couple things that have been going on for the month of May being outside the village. It was kind of a productive month. 6 calls for service. And of those calls listed alarms, animal calls, maids, some assaults. One of the bigger ones was an assist with another agency. Another big one was a report, some domestic violence, some drug calls and EMS, harassment, OBI, sex offenses, some stolen vehicles, suspicious activity, vandalism, some weapons that were recovered. Of those calls, 8 reports were generated. Ones, I'm not sure if some of you are aware, but it is Click It or Ticket Week, or Ticket 2 weeks. So we have a few seatbelt tickets that have been cited, as well as some OVI arrests that have occurred here. Some things of significance. There's a couple large drug seizures here this month. One of myself was done, and as well as Officer Short were conducted during the night. So a large amount of marijuana was seized these past couple weeks. I don't know if any of you have heard, but there was a big shooting in Rittman 2 weeks ago now that we had responded to and helped out with Rittman PD on that. They needed some assistance, being that the sheriff's office was extremely far away from that call, so we responded with some support for them. As far as some other things, the death report over at the West Center Apartments. An individual had passed away in that apartment for quite some time. Estimated that he was there for about a month, but he has been taken care of. No sign of foul play, some medical stuff that was related, so that has been dealt with. Finally, just short of some 1,500 business checks and 31 vacation checks, and actually only 1 crash report. The other big crash that I don't know if you guys have heard of on 585 and Apple Creek Road, we did assist with that. But as far as us, we only have 1 crash report inside the village.
All right. That'll take care of our monthly May activity report. Mayor, do you want to answer these questions via email, or what was the response in regard to the canine?
We're having some difficulty in hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you fine now.
Good. Did you want me to respond to those questions in the email?
I think if you'd respond to them in email, and obviously copy the individuals on the email if you would, please.
All right, perfect.
Okay. Are there any questions for either Sergeant Wertz or Chief Barnett during the police report? Hearing none, then I think that we're good. We'll move on in the agenda. The next item is on the agenda. There is no correspondence. Going into old business. Again, we had spoke at the last meeting that we would continue in Zoom in this meeting. Again, too, if it's the wishes of council, I guess, I would ask, for folks to express to me in regards to their wishes going forward. Our original intent was, now that the state has rescinded any health orders as of tomorrow, to begin to meet in person. I think that we can obviously spread tables. If there's other things that we can do to accommodate, we would be glad to do that. But again, the intent would be to, at this point, unless individuals from council feel otherwise strongly, I guess the question would be, what is your wishes and where will we go as far as the next meeting? So.
No more Zoom. No more Zoom.
No more Zoom.
No more Zoom.
I would prefer in person as well.
No more Zoom.
Okay.
Hey, Tom, can I ask, would you be willing to do like a hybrid option? Let's say if somebody couldn't be there?
We could consider that. That would be somewhat contingent upon Jason, obviously arranging or setting it up physically, I assume, within Village Hall, so they could participate.
Jason, can you confirm that that's allowable though? Because I'm not sure if it is or not.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that that is allowable moving forward. I know that there's been a lot of talk about all of that. I guess I need to double check and ensure that electronic attendance is allowed after the end of the month. It's my understanding the state of emergency declared by the governor's office ends June 30th. And so all of the online capabilities were kind of tied to that. So I know there's been a lot of discussion about allowing that to move forward permanently, but I don't know if that's actually been adopted. That being said, my first question is, do we as the village have a laptop that we can set up?
Because we purchased a laptop as part of the COVID money relative to use, so we do have that.
Okay. All right. So I from a purely mechanical approach, I think we should be able to do it. But I will confirm before our next meeting the legality of what we can and cannot do.
Correct. And I'm open to that, totally doing hybrid, accommodating those that, would prefer to continue that way. And again, as long as you follow up on that, I know prior to COVID, obviously we weren't allowed to allow individuals to participate any other way than in person. But if you verify that we can do it, then obviously we could go forward doing that as well. So, all right. Is there anything else under old business that needs to be brought up this evening that's not on the agenda? If there isn't any, moving on into new business. Well, the first item on there is, as you recall, we accepted the resignation of Lori Evans, individual. It was our thought and recommendation that we would move forward with more of a cleaning contract with a obviously commercial firm for cleaning of the village hall. We do have before you a proposed contract for your consideration for approval. Again, too, we are still seeking an additional quote, but we had some difficulty in getting one. Pam had given us another name, so we are seeking that obviously contract. But as you notice in this contract, we do have the ability to cancel by either party within 30-day written notice. So really, we still have that liberty if we were to find an additional quote that was substantially lower, then obviously we'd come back to you folks for consideration of that. But as you recall, the resignation was effective of May 22nd. So we've already been a significant amount of time without cleaning in the village hall. So I guess especially with us intending on opening it, our recommendation to you would be consideration of a contract with General Building Maintenance Corp. You should have received a copy of that obviously with your agenda, and the terms of it are spelled out very clearly, I think, in that. And also, Jason did review that contract and indicated it should be fine. So are there any questions at this point?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I had just a question with that quote of $413 a month. Is that pretty close to what we were paying an individual before?
This is probably a little bit higher than what we were paying before. Obviously, this is inclusionary of cleaning supplies, and those types of things which we bought separately. But again, too, obviously they're going to provide, the equipment and things to do it. So going forward, obviously we wouldn't have need for that, but the cost is a little more than what we currently were paying. Part of our thinking is, though, if we were to go with an individual, we probably would want more hours than we'd had before. The other individual basically chose the hours that they wanted to work, which was fine. But at times we felt that there was additional need for some services that will be covered under this contract as well. Things that didn't happen simply because we had general weekly cleaning, not necessarily bigger items that could be done occasionally throughout the course of time. So.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I'm in favor of the contract. I was just curious what the cost point was, but I think there's other value too of, as you mentioned, the cleaning supplies, and then not incurring any kind of cost or coverage for an individual versus a corporation that would carry their own liability. So, thank you.
Are there other questions? If there aren't any, I would entertain a motion in a second, basically authorizing me to enter into contract with them for cleaning services for Village Hall as the agreement that you received.
Sorry, I couldn't get off mute. Motion to allow the mayor to enter into a contract with General Building Maintenance Corporation for cleaning for the amount as specified in the contract.
Second.
All right, we have motion second to approve me signing a contract with General Building Maintenance Corporation. Are there any further questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Mullins?
Yes.
Oh, I froze. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Mullins?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Thorn?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Haas?
Yes.
Heicher?
Yes.
Okay. The next item on the agenda under new business, you should have received the May of 2021 income tax revenue report through the end of May. Again, obviously, as you can see, we're trending very well. The only thing I guess I would caution is that, as you recall, last year, the deadline for filing and paying was extended to July, mid-July. Given that, I think that for us, it probably is prudent for us. Once we get through July, then you'll be able to look at that simply because the change in as far as filing deadline last year compared to this year, just to make certain that we're tracking, as well as we are. But again, obviously, we'd by all means rather be tracking the positive as we are, but that should be good news. But again, I think once we get through July, we'll have a better handle on that as well. Are there any questions regarding that? Hearing none, are there any other items of new business that needs brought before council? Yep. Someone say something? Is there any other items of new business to be brought up this evening? All right, hearing none, we'll go on to liaison reports. The first one would be equipment with Scott.
Yeah, I talked to Mike. There are no items related to equipment, but I did want to take a moment just to thank Mayor and Mike and the council for the Smithville Girls Youth Soccer Program using the park. We concluded our season the weekend before Memorial Day, and it was great to have enough room that we could all practice. We did have one night a week when all ages from kindergartners to 8th graders practiced, and we had plenty of room and really well maintained facilities. So I didn't know whether to do that under new business or here, so I just decided to do it here. I did drop the ball, didn't get a card signed from all the youth players, but we do have great facilities, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. If there's nothing else, then from equipment, go to fire and Larry.
Our meeting was moved to next week, so nothing tonight.
Okay. There's nothing else under the police report at this point. We'll move on to Veterans Memorial. Joe.
Nothing new to report. We did have the parade and ceremony, obviously, yesterday morning. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for your participation in that. I know everyone appreciated that. From what I could see, I think everything went off very well. And I know the rest of the committee is very appreciative of the help that we got, especially from the parks and from the police department and getting everything set up and organized. So that help was very much appreciated.
And I would just add that I thought that the obviously parade kicked off right on time, was well organized, and obviously the program itself and seemed to be very well attended, I think, from the standpoint of residents and individuals there. So again, there were a number of different individuals that contributed to that. Obviously, the school district also had the band there, and also the essay contest winner. So overall, I thought the program. So moving on in our agenda, the next would be Parks and Trees. Be Matt.
Nothing new to report, just an update that the survey, we're extending an additional week until early next week. And we have currently about 120 responses on the park survey. So we'll put it all together at the end of this month. That's all I had.
All right. And I probably have one thing that I'm going to touch base with you also, okay? So I'll just, if you just remind me.
Sure.
All right. Moving on, the next would be Streets and Sidewalks with John.
I have nothing to report tonight. Thanks.
Moving on to Finance and Personnel, Tricia.
Yeah, just basically, I think there's still a couple signatures that I had required in my, or requested in my email. If you guys get a chance to stop in there, that item is still on the counter, and then we will make sure to take care of where that goes. So if you've not done so, please do so. And that's it for me. And I'm sorry about, I don't even know if you can hear me or not, but I'm on my phone right now. So sorry about being late. I missed most of the beginning, but I'm here. I'll bring cookies next time.
All right. If there's nothing else on the liaison reports, I'll move into Mayor's report. I have nothing to report concerning the standard construction specifications, but I do have a couple other items of information. Obviously, we had our first billing cycle since we instituted online payment. If I recall correctly, the report that I see of the invoice count originally was 617, but I think Beverly said that they mailed 585. So again, it appears as though there's a number of people, looks like 33 on the report that I'm looking at up through the end of May that have signed up. And again, too, thus far, just since the 11th of May, there have been over $5,638.26 in payments made relative to the online format. So I think as we continue to push it, we hopefully will see more people register and get involved, which is positive from the standpoint of time and obviously cost relative to billing. So again, I wanted to report that. The last item that I would report to you as well, I will be asking BPA at their next meeting, which is coming up. Again, too, as you recall, usually we like to have something to present for OPWC project. My belief is that if we don't ask for money, we don't get it. So again, in looking at that, obviously you're aware that they're taking upon themselves the master study for I&I, but given that that has not been completed, it would be difficult for us to begin to assess where the next place would be to go relative to possibly cleaning and lining of sewers. So given that, I spoke with Mike. One of the concerns that he had brought up to me was North Mill Street, which is obviously you're aware of, it's not a very long street at all, but it does still have one of the very oldest water mains. It's still a cast iron water main. It originally was the line that would have come from the original well field that's been abandoned by the village. The intent would be not obviously to go as far as we currently go, because we do not need the section that goes back to the old well field. But again, preliminarily, we want to look at and see whether or not that would be a project we can submit. Again, one of the issues that brought it to head is there's one fire hydrant on it. Mike reported that there's a major issue as far as workability of that. So given that it's something that we feel the need in which to obviously address, the intent would be to add another fire hydrant at the end of the line, because currently we don't have an ability in which to flush that line. And Mike indicates that probably in the village, it is the one area due to the lack of ability to flush properly, also the type of material that the line is itself. Those individuals that are served by it probably have some of the worst water in the village. So given some of those factors, we're going to discuss a BPA, having CT obviously put together an OPWC submission that would be due in August for consideration in September by that group. So again, that would be something that at some point we would be bringing before you for approval for us to submit that project. But I just wanted to share that with you. Are there any other questions for me specifically? If there aren't any, you should have received a copy of the bills this evening, along with a detailed list. And if you've had the time to review those, I would entertain a motion and a second to approve the bills as presented.
Motion to approve the bills in the amount of $13,202.95.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and a second to approve the bills as presented. Any discussion on the bills? Hearing none, roll call.
Reed. Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Eicher, Mullins,
Yes.
All right. If there's nothing else that's to be brought before us, you'll see the BPA meeting is June 7th. You're always welcome to join us if you'd like. Council meeting next one will be June 15th at 7 p.m. Again, too, if there's nothing else to be acted upon, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second, Thorne.
Okay,
Thanks,
we have
Tim.
motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. All right, well, thank you very much, folks. I'd like to say, if you need anything, feel free to contact me.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys in a few weeks. See you in a few weeks. Yay!
Remembering the cookies, Trish.
I promise I will.
I'm holding you to that one.
All
I
right.
promise.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
So, Tom, I'll just say my research during this meeting leads me to believe we cannot do a hybrid going forward.
Okay.
But I will reach out to the Attorney General's office tomorrow and see what they say. And we'll just do whatever.
Okay. Well, I knew before, obviously, COVID, that, whenever there were questions